Hi, everyone. Welcome to Network Capital TV. Today, we are very excited to have host Rahul Rana. He's an author and intern at one of the larger venture capital funds, somebody who's passionate about moonshots. And we're here to discuss everything from repeated failure to making cold emails work, from writing to venture capital, everything. So, Rahul, over to you. Tell us who you are and what do you do today?
Yeah, of course, and thank you for having me. Awesome. Yeah. So, my name's Rahul. I'm 19 years old. I'm currently at Rutgers University. I'm studying finance and astrophysics, and I'm the author of Making Moonshots. Making Moonshots is a deep dive into the philosophies, mindsets, and strategies that are conducive to building moonshot companies. Right, really impactful, radically creative deep tech startups. And I'm also an associate at Lux Capital, a 2.5 billion a deep tech venture capital firm based in New York and California. So yeah.
So your dad worked or works at Bell Labs. So you grew up in the midst of technology. So
Mhm.
how did you decide to go to Rutgers, and what's your journey from high school to college? Walk us through it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So, as you mentioned, my dad, my entire life, he's worked at Bell Labs. And, I'm sure a lot of your listeners know, right? Bell Labs, the most, all the breakthroughs, right? All the inventions, Nobel Prizes, they were so amazingly, impactful and in science and technology in the past century. And, um, you know, as a kid, my dad would take me to all the, the labs and everything. I'm based in New Jersey, so all the labs are near me. And, I'd go see all the, the bronze plaques, all the Nobel Prizes. They have a museum of all their inventions. I was just so obsessed with it. So from this early age. And then it's funny enough, right? I go to high school and I fall into the business crowd. So, I do for for 4 years, I'm just immersed in all things business and I kind of blocked off all my curiosity for science and technology. And I just focused on business for all that. And then, sort of like, one of the biggest changes or things that happened in my life was actually, so as a senior in high school, I was applying to colleges, right? Applied to, all my dream schools and everything. And, life just happened and I got 14 straight rejections from all my dream schools. And it was, it was, as a high school senior, right, that's like probably like the biggest thing that, most seniors just think about, right? They want to go to their dream schools. And 14 straight rejections. I was like dumbfounded. I just like didn't know how to feel it and how to act. It was just like the craziest thing that ever happened to me. So, after that, it was a lot of confusion, right? I became very introspective, very, a little bit, insecure, all the things that come with just, feeling with rejection and things like that. And I came out of it thinking like, all right, like, you know what, like I could either choose to be pessimistic or I could choose to be this, this optimistic, right, ambitious, sort of bold person, right? So what, I can get to my dream schools, it's so what, like I'll make the most of wherever I go, and I will achieve, whatever I want to achieve no matter what school I go to. And sort of, right, that mindset shift that happened, a couple months after all those rejections. And I came to Rutgers, right? Rutgers is my state school, so obviously I went there. And I absolutely just, I did things I wasn't supposed to do, right? Again, did as much work as I can, right, into venture capital. I absolutely just, like, fell in love with the sort of the crossroads between, finance, right, all my business background, but also things I grew up on, right, science, technology, research, and so forth. And I just thought that venture capital was this perfect combination between the two. And funny enough, right, VC is one of those industries where you have to come from a top school. So again, that's when
Yeah.
I sort of like, I was like, all right, like, despite that, I'm going to grind, I'm going to hustle, I'm going to work, and I'm going to, really, really get, do the best I can to sort of get into the VC industry. And, what's the boldest thing I could do is honestly like write a book, right? And it was kind of funny. I wasn't originally going to write a book, but I don't know if it was just life, it was just, the universe just like looking out for me,
You were meant
serendipity,
to
luck.
write. Yeah. It's luck surface
Some
area, all of that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But
So
tell me, Rahul, getting
mhm,
14 rejections, being a good
yeah,
student, I mean, in high school, you were, I would imagine, studying hard, like many South
yeah.
Asian people of South Asian origin do,
Yeah.
um, doing well, but
Mhm,
getting 14 state rejections can be a lot.
yeah.
How did you process that? And did those rejections hurt? I imagine they did. How did you process it?
Yeah, yeah, no. In the moment, it was definitely a dark time. It definitely I took it personally, obviously. Like, again, to your point, right, being, an Indian American, right, obviously you have that influence, the cultural influence. And sort of like, the part of New Jersey I grew up in, everyone's sort of, aiming for those top schools. And it's just, a cultural thing, right? Like you got to get into it. And then, all of high school, right? Like, I don't mean this like, in a arrogant way, but like, no, I was pretty confident. Like, I was sort of like this like good student. I played piano internationally, had, I was in top of my class in terms of, GPA, whatever, president of a bunch of clubs, did all these things, right? And things I was
I
passionate
mean, you
about.
did everything that people do to get
Yeah.
in, and you
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
really well. You, I
Yeah.
think,
Yeah.
won this global piano championship. So, I mean,
Yeah.
this
Yeah. I want
sounds
to,
like
yeah.
somebody who will go to a wonderful undergrad, but
Yeah.
didn't work
But,
out for some reason.
yeah, yeah, and in hindsight, I think the reason I did get all those rejections is because I wrote what I like, in terms of like my essays and what I did. In my essays, like I wrote what I thought the colleges wanted, right? I was not true to myself. I wasn't being genuine when I was doing my applications. I think that's where I sort of lost. And again, like, everyone has, everyone makes these mistakes and whatever. Obviously I beat myself up in the moment. I was like, I shouldn't have done that. I should have, been true to myself, not sort of, write what I thought the colleges wanted, right?
Right.
And made all, I was, obviously, I was beating myself up, but nonetheless, like dealing with it. I actually, in the months after it, I actually didn't deal with it in the most healthiest way. I would take it out
So, what do
on
you
my
do?
loved ones. I would just be very cold, very distant to to people who really cared for me. And it was definitely not the person I wanted to be, right? I didn't want to be this sort of pessimistic, cold person. And again, it took a lot of self-reflection, right? A lot of introspection. I was just like, wait, like it doesn't matter what school I'm go to, or whatever circumstances I'm in. Like I will work and I will hustle and I will get to whatever position that I want to be, right? And to do that, I have to be at peace with myself, right? I have to get over my insecurities. I have to be the best person that I want to be. And just like I started reading a ton. I started, again, those personal connections that I said I previously mentioned, I was like cold to, reconnected with them, right? I apologized obviously for sort of being this negative person. And maybe like 3-4 months after my sort of my last that 14th rejection, that sort of dark period, like after that, right, as I was getting ready to go to college, I became just this different person, someone that I could actually say I'm proud of, like proud to be sort of
Yeah,
this
yeah.
optimistic, right, ambitious sort of mindset that I sort of developed and adopted after reading a lot of books, right,
And
thinking
Rahul,
about,
it's
you're
so
right, being
important,
introspective, and yeah.
having that healthy, what is self-respect, the relationship with the
Yeah.
that you have with your own self, and you
Yeah.
worked on it.
Mhm.
um, I think the story ends really well, and there are lots of interesting parts which I'm obviously very excited to dive deep into. But growing up, did you feel a pressure to perform, to excel? Because clearly you were killing it, like with the piano, with the GPAs, with everything. But did you honestly feel a sense of pressure? If yes, from where?
Yeah, of course. So it was, obviously I did feel, a lot of pressure. Not a lot of pressure, but a good amount of pressure. There were some things I absolutely were passionate about, right? So in regards to like, things I genuinely liked, in the inside. So piano, actually. So it's funny, right? In regards to piano, it started with my parents, right? Again, South Asian parents, right? They wanted me to do something. I played tennis, I played piano, like all the typical sort of stereotypical things. But piano, started as my parents just pushing me to do it. But then so basically, right, from first grade to fifth grade, I had this one teacher, piano teacher. She was not that good, right, but very very like basics, whatever.
Mm.
And again, it was clear that she was doing it for the money, actually. And when I got to sixth grade, actually, so middle school, right, I changed teachers and I found this amazing teacher. He's the one who brought me international, right? He really taught me like everything. He even taught me things, right, that are not even piano related, like, again, like to your point, right, being the better person, right, helping others, right, volunteering, all these really good things. Like my piano teacher taught me that. And he was just like
Mm.
one of the best professors and coaches I've ever had in my life. And still in contact with him to this day. But piano, once I had this amazing teacher, and again, this is a really great lesson, just like the power of like mentors and things like that.
Right.
Not only did he make piano a passion, but he also made it this sort of this aspirational goal that I wanted to become better intrinsically. And
Hmm.
again, with his help, I went to, I played in Carnegie Hall 4 times in New York City. I played
Oh,
all across
wow.
Canada. Yeah, I played in
That must have
Canada.
been such a proud moment, no? For
Yeah,
you and
yeah,
your
amazing.
parents in
Yeah.
Carnegie
Yeah,
Hall.
one of my fondest memories. Sometimes in Canada, I went to Montreal, Toronto, Ottawa, Quebec City. I went to Germany and Belgium, and then I didn't go to some places, but we were invited. We were invited to Spain, Iceland, India, Japan, France and the UK, but we didn't go to those, but nonetheless we were still
Hmm.
invited there. So it was, you know, it was
Hmm.
really really nice, right? Like so you know, to you know the original point, right? There were some things I did passionately, right? But in terms of pressure, right? Obviously, you know, like you know, like the area that I grew up in New Jersey, everyone's, you know, gunning for, you know, top colleges, right? Everyone's, you know, as middle schoolers and high schools, they're you know doing preparing for that. And you know, obviously I had that pressure also, you know, culturally, like, you know, my parents, and actually there was a lot of, it was, I feel like as though it was a healthy amount of pressure in that, you know, my parents, right, my grandparent, actually, my mom's dad's brother, he was the first person to come here from India, right? He came to India with $3 in his pocket, literally $3 in his pocket, and you know,
Hmm.
he sort of, you know, moved up in society through entrepreneurship, right? He bought a restaurant, and he was in the restaurant industry, and bought a banquet hall, right? And he had 7 other brothers and sisters. My mom's parents were one of those 7 others, and he brought their entire family, right? Then my mom
Hmm.
and her generation, and again, like, it's just this sort of like, I want to give back to them, right? It's sort of like, you know, all these, you know, all my mom, my parents, and you know, my mom, my dad, like, they sacrificed so much. And you know, as your typical immigrant story, right? They came from India. They were, you know, they're you know, pretty comfortable in India, but they came to America with nothing. And it was just like they sacrificed so much and they worked so hard. And I realized that, and I was like, wow, like I want to, you know, I want to work, you know, obviously for my happiness and everything, but like I also want to, you know, make them proud. And I think that, you know, that's like a good, you know, it was like a healthy pressure, honestly. Like again, I just wanted to, you know, like, they gave me this sort of this baseline level of, you know, they gave me, you know, a shelter, you know, they gave me, you know, a comfortable and an awesome childhood. And, you know, they gave me all this, you know, all these resources and everything. And, you know, I want to do something big with that. So that was sort of like, you know, one of my underlying sort of motivating factors.
And how did were they supportive when you got in, or were you getting those rejections? And how did you process it? And how did you come out with more self-respect, or say
Yeah.
a healthier relationship with your own psyche?
Yeah, of course. I mean, throughout the entire time, and you know, obviously, my parents wanted me to go to some awesome school, but you know, they were totally fine with, like again, like Rutgers is an amazing school. Like, they were not, you know, mad. They were not disappointed or nothing. They were so supportive. It was me actually that was, I was mad at myself, right? I was disappointed with myself, and you know, I lost all my self
Because you didn't
confidence, my self
write
esteem.
the story that you really wanted to write. You
Yeah,
wrote what you thought others. That hurts the most when you think you
yeah,
haven't been rejected for you yourself. You
yeah,
tried to, be the good boy, and in good boy, you sort of lost out the authenticity. But what I
yeah.
noticed in that transition from your high school to your college journey
Mhm.
was a lot of growth, and were a
Yeah.
lot of self awareness, a lot of
Mhm.
comfort with your own self. Did you
Yeah.
work on that? How did you develop that practice?
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah. So you know, when I was personally growing, I would say it was definitely, you know, it started off like I just wanted to, you know, make other people happy, right? I wanted to, you know, make my parents proud, right? I want, you know, my friends to sort of, you know, think I'm, you know, this really cool person, right? Like, and it was sort of, I was doing things for other people, and that was really the sort of the underlying theme for, you know, my you know, in terms of growth and throughout high school and everything, right? I wanted to others to think I'm, you know, this awesome person, right? I want others to be proud of me, and I was never taking the time to focus on myself, right? I would never, you know, thought to myself like, oh, like, you know, I should do things that I enjoy, right? I thought, I know, I did things that, you know, colleges would like, right? I did things that, you know, other, you know, my mentors or whoever, my friends would, you know, would sort of like look at me like, wow, like, you know, like Rahul's doing this cool stuff. It was never something I genuinely sort of thing. Besides piano,
hmm,
piano was one thing I actually genuinely enjoyed, but other things like it was not, you know, it was not genuine to myself. And
right.
the realization came again once I was rejected from those 14 schools, and in those months after, I was like, wow, like I was not doing anything for my better for the longest time,
Right.
and that's when I made that change.
Right. So, congrats for so many achievements and so much growth.
Thank
But
you,
now
thank you.
let's try and understand what happens in 2020.
Yeah.
So, tell us about your book, how that
Mhm.
idea came to you, how did that
Yeah.
opportunity come to you,
Mhm.
and most excitingly, tell us how you got the internship at Lux Capital.
Yeah, of course, of course. Yeah. So um yeah, so you know, end of 2019, right? I come to Rutgers, realized I absolutely love venture capital and startups and all this, you know, amazing, you know, deep tech, right? That's right. Sort of, you know, and you know, for if someone doesn't know what deep tech is, right? It's basically just like, it's another word for, you know, advanced science, right? Advanced technologies, you know, sort of, you know, cross collaboration with, you know, frontier tech. emerging tech, all these synonyms, right? So just advanced science and technology, right? So became super obsessed with all that. And so towards the end of 2019, I was like, all right, like I have so much energy, so much passion, like I want to do something with it. And again, like I was mentioning before, the universe, I don't know, looking out for me, serendipity, fortune, luck, I don't know what it was, but I met this one mentor of mine who ended up bringing me along on this book writing process. And it was just a right time, right place. I don't know what it was, but it was, I just like
No,
amazing
but tell us.
conversation with him. And
We have this
yeah,
concept that we talk about a lot in network capital, Lux surface area.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
you
yeah,
know, it's
yeah.
at the intersection
Mhm.
of doing great things, telling lots of people. So walk us through this relationship with your mentor and give
Yeah.
us a picture of how this book, this wonderful book, Moonshot Factory, the early days of it. What was it like?
Yeah, absolutely. So my one mentor, right? His name is Eric Custer. He's a Georgetown professor. And yeah, I met him on LinkedIn actually, of all places. And I was just speaking with him, and he was mentioning like he has this and I connected over with him because he's also an investor, right? He's in the venture capital industry as well. So I connected with him, and I was talking to him, and he told me like, oh, like for on the side, like he's a professor first, but on the side, like he mentors a lot of students, right? And well, not only like, well, his students, right, but he mentors a lot of professionals and so forth in writing books, right? It's a passion of his. And even though I was this 19-year-old freshman, like no background in anything
Hmm.
VC or startup related, he was just like, he saw the passion, right? And he saw that sort of that spark in me. He was telling me. And I was like, hey, like, can you mentor me, right? Like, can you help me? Can you bring me on this journey? Like, again, I had all this energy, all this passion. I was like, wow, like this is the perfect opportunity to actually put that into something physical, right? Again, something, a book. And he, luckily enough, like he took that chance on me, and he helped me out through the entire sort of writing process, set me up with a publisher and everything. And the rest is history. It was just this
Yeah.
amazing sort of mentorship. Yeah,
Some mentors are transformational in our
absolutely.
lives,
Yeah,
right? Yeah. That's
yeah,
why we need to pay it forward. The one mentor
yeah,
helped us. We need to
yeah.
help other people.
Hmm.
Um, Tell me, Rahul, once you got that opportunity to
Yeah.
write the book, the publisher was
Mhm.
hooked up, all of that happened. What was the larger thesis? What did you want to bring out? And what was the
Mhm.
process of writing the book like?
Yeah, of course. So it's actually funny. So my first idea was actually, and this is actually, it'll make a great point. So my first idea was not about moonshot companies, right? And you remember how I mentioned before, all throughout high school, I would do things not for myself, but what I would think others would like or appreciate, right?
Hmm.
My first idea was actually, all right, I want to break into the venture capital and startup industry. What is something that VCs, right, if they were looking for, in terms of like recruiting or analysts, like what is something that they would like? And what would they like to read? And that and all that. I was like, I had this idea like, oh, like they would like it if all right, so my first idea, right, it was how can the private sector solve public sector problems, right? So you talk about very like hyper politicized industries, right? Insurance, healthcare, whatever, and write about
Hmm.
that. And I thought that venture capitalists, right, they would see that book and they're like, wow, like, oh, that's so cool, like, oh, they would hire me on the spot. I would look at all these like cool companies, whatever. I started doing the research actually for honestly for like maybe 1 week or so, like a couple of days, and I was like, I had no intrinsic motivation to do it, and I was like, all right, like I made this mistake in high school. I'm not going to make it again. Like, what do I genuinely want to write about? What am I genuinely passionate about? And again, it went back to my childhood, right? Deep tech, right? Frontier tech, research, all these really cool things. And I was like, all right, why not just write a book about what I'm like absolutely the most passionate about, like
Hmm.
something what would genuinely make me happy, right? And that what is that, like it's making moonshots, right? And I remember to this day, like every single like the day I came to that realization was probably like it's just an amazing feeling. I remember perfectly, right? I was on a bus back to my dorm in college, and I was like, wait, why not write a book about moonshot companies, right? Deep tech, right? The ones that literally changed the course of humanity, and all these
Hmm.
really impactful sort of startups and things like that. I was like, wow, like I called up my best friend. I was like, holy shit, like excuse my language, my bad, but I was like, I'm so excited for this, and like it was just an amazing day, right? And I realized like, all right, like that's what I'm most passionate about intrinsically, right? For myself, not for anyone
Yeah.
else. And once I did that, I was like, I was on my way, right? So what was the book process like? So I had this sort of dual mandate I tell everyone, right? again, I've never started a moonshot company, right? I didn't have much of a background. So not only did I have to do deep and extensive research for, months on end, but I also had to do that while, honing my writing craft, right? The only writing
Yeah.
experience I had was in my classes in high school, right? And again, like I wanted to write a good book. Like this was not just like, some side project or whatever for fun, but like, no, this was like a legitimate, book, got a publishing deal, book deal, whatever. Like I wanted to be amazing. So, I was working on my writing alongside doing, really, really deep research alongside, doing school. And it was definitely, I had made a lot of sacrifices in terms of like time and everything, right? Definitely I sacrificed a lot of my social life, but
So what would a day in
obviously,
your life look like at that time when you were going through this grueling routine of fixing your
yeah.
writing and then
Mhm.
doing research and then cold emailing people?
Yeah. So, oh yeah, I'll get to that too. So, it was a lot of honestly, right? Wake up, research as much as I can, right? When I got bored of research, right, or tired, just burnt out, do homework, right, do studying. Again, I had to do all that. Then send out cold emails, right, interviews, just as the cycle. But the thing is that all right, like this is what beginning of 2020, right, prior to COVID. So once COVID hit, honestly, like again, it was very unfortunate. I'm not going to say it was like a good thing that happened, but I made the most of it. Sort of the silver lining was that I had so much time at home, right? Everyone from college went home. I've been at home, ever since then, right? We're recording this January 2021. I've been here since, been home since March 2020. And now at home, right, I had so much time, right? Like again, we couldn't hang out with my friends, like sort of, I put a pause on my social life and I just absolutely made the most of the time. So, um, you know, again, so many cold emails. I probably did more than 100 sort of interviews with all deep tech experts, right? Founders, investors, operators, and some people from academia, and in the commercialization sort of realm, and even some government people as well, which is really cool. So,
Does the name
ton-
Josh Wolf mean something to you?
oh well, yeah. So, to
So
your
tell
point.
us
So
who he is and
yeah.
how come he decided to write the foreword of your book.
Oh, so he didn't write the forward, but he gave me a quote on the back.
Oh,
But
sorry, he wrote a blog.
yeah.
Yes.
So that's also where my journey into Lux sort of begins. So one of the people I interviewed, right, was Josh Wolf of Lux Capital. Managing partner of Lux Capital. Amazing guy, right? He's all things deep tech, all things science and so forth. And he's an investor in all the craziest sort of sci-fi sounding companies. And I can go delve into that if you'd like. But I interviewed
Yeah.
him, right?
Tell us, how did you find this person? And Josh
Mhm.
Wolf is not an easy interview to get for a 19-year-old.
Yeah.
Explain how perseverance pays off.
So again, right, I'm writing this book about moonshot companies, right? Really impactful deep tech companies. The arguably one of the best, deep tech VC firms in the world, right, is Lux Capital. And they're this amazing sort of institution. They're really, really investing into things that matter, right? They call it matter that matters. And amazing organization. I read of all of Josh's content, all the videos he's ever made, all of his interviews. Like it was, I did all his research because like
He's
the
done
things that he said,
a couple of good podcasts as well.
as podcasts as well. I listened to all of them, and I learned a lot from him, from the content that he created. And I was like, all right, like I gotta talk to him, right? Like Lux Capital, like they're literally they're investing into, but also they built some moonshots inside, right? They incubated it within Lux. So like they're this venture building and also venture investing firm. So they do all things moonshots, right? That's sort of their thing. And I was like, I have to talk to them. So I I remember it took me sort of like almost like an hour to craft the cold email I sent to him. I was like very very well thought out, all these ideas, but also very succinct, very concise. It was honestly just like maybe 6-7 lines. That's it.
And what
Three.
were those 6 7 lines like? Not in terms of what you wrote, but
Yeah.
how did you filter it to the essence? What did you want? What was the outcome that you achieved?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, and this is sort of my strategy on cold emailing. So the way I did it, right? I was directly, straight to the point, right? Had a very, very, um, all right, so the way I started, right? Like, I was like, hey, hey Josh, greeting, whatever. I said, I'm Rahul Rana. I'm the author of Making Moonshots. It's, I explained my book. So what? That's 2 lines, right? That's 2 lines. I was like, I want to interview for this and this reason, right? That's 4 lines right there. So what? 6 lines in total. And I was like, and last line, right? I'd love to take 20 minutes of your time. uh this could be really like impactful for my book, my personal life journey. Like I really hope that I could just take 20 minutes of your time and really have a nice conversation about, all things deep tech and moonshots with you. And, throughout those, couple, 6, 7 lines or so, I included, a lot of his, favorite quotes, right? A lot of his ideas, right? Again, because I was very heavily influenced by sort of the things that he talks about and things that his ideas. And, I sort of, threw them in a little bit, it was, really nice sort of, um, to show I
You
actually,
were happy with the email. With 1 hour well
yeah.
spent.
Yeah.
Yes, good.
Well, yeah. Honestly, that was probably one of the most impactful 1 hour sort of segments that I had in my entire life, right? Because
Yeah.
send that email literally. I scheduled. So I wrote it the night before. I scheduled it for 9:30 the next day. I still remember to this day. 9, I think like 36, 37. He replied to me right within 10 minutes. He replied to me that one day. I remember he's like, yeah, like let's do it. It was kind of funny. Like that was like the week right before COVID hit, right?
Oh,
First
wow.
week of March. We scheduled it for the Thursday, the Thursday of the week when everything just shut down, right? So we couldn't speak that when we first scheduled it to, and I actually had to wait till May. The next time he was free was actually May. So waited what, like 4 months to actually speak to him. But yeah, um finally got to speak to him in May. And then basically, and in terms of my journey into Lux, and if you want me to get into that. So
Yeah. So how was the conversation with Josh, and how did
yeah.
he get the internship at Lux?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So, spoke to him and interviewed him in May of 2020, right? Ever since then, right, kept in contact with him, right? Maybe like sent a quick email like every 2 months or so, right? So, June and then over the summer and whatever, I was like, hey, giving him my progress updates. Showed him I was serious about this book. Like I'm going to, I was going to make it an amazing book. Like I kept them, updated on the progress. And, then came September 2020. And, um, I was ready to, go back to school, and, I was writing this book and everything. And again, Lux, absolute dream job, absolute dream firm. And I was talking to one of my friends, and he was just like, hey, like, why don't you ask Josh if you could work for him? Like, you're doing the research into what they invest in already, right? They invest in moonshots. Like, you're literally researching that. You could hustle, like, you could, you're resourceful, like, you could do all this stuff. Like, just ask him a simple email, right? Literally, right? Another hour crafting another email. I was like, hey, Josh, like, can I work for you? Like I could hustle, I could research. I'm doing things that Lux, specifically invests into. Can I work for you? Literally, and again, scheduled it for 9:30 the next day. Within 10 minutes, again, it's funny. Like I still remember this perfectly. Like in the email, no resume, right? I didn't send anything. I sent a chapter of my book though. That was the key. I have a mail tracker, right? So he opened it, within 10 minutes of me emailing him, and he replied maybe like, 30 minutes later. And I think it was because he was reading that one chapter I sent it. And no
Hmm.
application, no interview, no resume. He hired me on the spot after reading that one chapter, I think. And he hired me on the spot. It was honestly like, one of the greatest days of my life. Just literally like,
That's
Lux Capital,
incredible
right?
and
Like,
inspiring. That is, you
yeah,
can
so
teach
inspiring. And
us MBAs about how to, go about cold emailing, etc. I think
yeah,
intentionality is key. Your chapter was the
yeah,
clincher. Plus,
yeah,
you demonstrated that you have strong work ethic. You really
mhm,
care about it. I
yeah,
think passion is very helpful, but passion complemented with real skills, with the real
yeah.
output, the
Mhm.
chapter comes together really well. So, congratulations for that. Tell
Thank
me,
you.
how's it been? Like, have you started work at Lux? Have you
Mhm.
started doing your due diligence? Because you also write over and above what you do with your book. What's it been like for you?
Yeah, of course. So, that was September 2020. They like Josh and like, Lux, they were really nice. They let me start in October after I finished writing the books, obviously, so I wouldn't be so overwhelmed. So I actually finished writing the book in October. Everything, was checked and edited. Everything was good by October. I actually throughout the course of my book, I probably rewrote my book 3 times entirely. So it was like the best possible version it could be. Like I couldn't write anymore. So
Hmm.
finished the book in October, and that's when they said I could start. So they were really nice about that. So October, right? October 2020. So from then till now, yeah, it was amazing. It lived up to all my expectations, right? I'm literally, working with moonshot companies, right? Investing in them, sourcing them, doing due diligence for them.
Yeah.
Um, it was just amazing opportunities that just came out of it. It also validated my book though, right? Like again, I was this college student, right, with no background in it. Who would read a book from that, with that background? No, probably no one, right? But again, I had Lux sort of validated, all things I said in it, right? All the experts that I interviewed, right? They, I asked them like, hey, like, can you, speak about my book, right? Can you validate it? Can you make sure that it's real, right? It's good. They all, gave raving, they were raving about amazing reviews. So it just felt nice that, like, all right, like, even if I'm this outsider, even if I'm this sort of, this non-credentialed, sort of, non-expert or semi-expert, I could still write this amazing, impactful book that actually inspires people, actually makes sense, has the best advice from all the best people around the world, and, in the moonshot sort of, deep tech realm. It just like felt, I just gave me a lot of confidence that, all right, like, I'm actually writing a good book. And, obviously it was a lot of imposter syndrome, a lot of like insecurity, right? Like, I was really scared if it, maybe it was going to
Mm.
flop. Well, like, I didn't, I've never sold a product before, right? I didn't know marketing, I didn't know sales or anything, but nonetheless, I really built a lot of, hype around it, did as much marketing, learned as I went, right? What worked and what didn't. And then, had an awesome launch. And, yeah, so, I launched it while I was working, at Lux, and it was just, amazing feeling.
Let's try and recap for what has happened in the past year and a half in your life. You
Yeah.
get rejected from all the schools you wanted to go to, 14
Yeah.
of them.
Mhm.
Then you sort of work on yourself, but you have no visible prospects. You find a mentor or two, then you
Yeah.
send out a whole bunch of cold emails.
Yeah.
Then, lots and lots and lots of hustle later. You have a book,
Yeah.
you have a dream internship, and you have far
Mhm.
more clarity. And
Yeah.
I think all of this leaves me with a lot of reflections. But how do you feel? What have you realized about yourself?
Mhm.
Um, what is it you know about yourself today that you didn't know, say, a year and a half back?
Yeah. One word, just self-awareness, right? Like honestly, like, on one hand, I'm doing things that makes me happy for myself, right? I'm caring about myself, and doing work I'm actually passionate about. And actually, one lesson I learned, and I feel like a lot of college students fall into this trap. A lot of people think that, all right, if they want to get like, really cool salary and do some awesome work, whatever, they have to do things they're not passionate about. I realize that that's 100% false. Like, again, like, I'm doing things I'm so proud of, right? Like, I'm so happy with, and it's also, a lot of good things are coming out of it, right? Like, I don't necessarily have to do things I'm not passionate about. Like, again, back in high school, right? I thought I had to go into investment banking and things like that, right? I wanted to get the same salary. Obviously, I didn't have like, I wasn't, I was, I wanted the prestige, the money, whatever, right? Investment banking or, big tech or whatever. And, I started, once I started actually, thinking about, all right, what makes me genuinely happy? Like, I started doing that, and even better opportunities rose, and even better, sort of benefits and whatnot. So that's one thing I learned, right? Doing things
Hmm.
that made me happy was actually made me way more successful. That was one thing. Another thing I realized, like, all right, like, it was like the mindset that I sort of adopted. Like, developed, like, I call it the moonshot mindset, right? Like, in my book, right? But whatever you want to call it, right? I realized, like, it's a choice to be pessimistic or it's a choice to be optimistic, right? It's a choice to be happy and do things that make you happy, and it's a choice that, to do otherwise. And, I just it's so simple. Maybe it's even cliche to some extent, but again, like, I was just, I was self-aware about, what impact do I want to make on the world, and will that make me happy, and will that, make me, obviously, I need money and whatever, and salary or whatever, and all that stuff. Like, will it set me up for, future success, where I could, in turn inspire billions of other people? Because, that's sort of, one of my life's goals. Like, what can I do to sort of be on that path? And again, just the self-awareness, again, the clarity, and sort of having that vision like that. Those are the most important things I honestly learned, throughout, rejections to the book writing process and so forth. So yeah.
I feel rejections are really important.
Yeah.
On Network Capital, we had one of the Kellogg professors,
Yeah.
Benjamin Jones, actually talk about his research on rejection and who succeeds more in life. So it
Yeah.
turns out that if you failed multiple times, but
Mhm.
you keep trying,
Yeah.
you're much more likely to be more successful than people who've either failed and not tried again or never
Mhm.
failed at all. So I
Yeah.
think what you're doing with each of your new adventures or moonshots is that you're
Mhm.
augmenting the chance of your future success even more.
Mhm. Yeah.
So more power to you on that.
Thank you.
Uh, what has been your personal moonshots? I think that already at the age of 19, you've had quite a few personal moonshots. I can think of the book. I can think of the internship at Lux.
Mhm.
Um, but if you could think about, one big moonshot that you're very proud of,
Mhm.
thus far, and one
Yeah.
big moonshot that you're looking forward to in the coming years, what might those be?
Yeah, yeah, of course. So yeah, there's a couple of them. Obviously, again, the book, my personal moonshot, getting into Lux, and hopefully I could, I'm really really working hard there. So hopefully that I could be successful there. Like another moonshot. One thing I think a lot of people sort of forget to think about, just like me personally, like my personal development, my personal growth, like I want to be happy, and I want other people, I want them to be happy, right? Like I want to sort of uplift like everyone, not just sort of a few people, but just I really want to uplift everyone. It's, just one of my life goals, right? So working on myself, and again, like I have so much, so much to learn. Like I like obviously there are some days I feel very, insecure, right? A lot of, insecurities. Like, I lose my self-confidence, and, again, I'm working on myself. And I think like doing that for everyone, right? That's everyone's personal sort of moonshot, and,
Hmm,
working on themselves, right? Working on their mental
hmm,
health, and again, their personal relationships and everything that comes with that. So that's like one thing, right? I'm really working on that, and I'm really happy and really excited. But yeah, and then in terms of actual moonshots, right? So work and passion related and curiosity related. So um, there's a few things. So one of my life goals, right? Again, you see with the title of my book, I want to make more moonshots, right? So whether that's personally, like me founding companies, I'm all for that. Whether it's me investing into and supporting founders and people who are making moonshots, absolutely I'll do that. Or whatever it may be, just starting this sort of cultural movement, even if it means that, like I'm all for that. And again, I want to do all these things. I think in regards to sort of my personal sort of career trajectory, like this writing this book was actually just the beginning, right? Now
hmm,
with that, I want to actually put it into action. Once I can do it, put it into action into one time, I want to do it multiple times, right? Once I can do it multiple times, I really want to start this movement in which I could just inspire people to work on the problems that actually matter, right? I'm, again, curing cancer, right? Going to space, fixing poverty and homelessness, like everything. There's so many problems in the world.
hmm,
That's why I wrote this book, right? Like all the problems that we face, like we're sort of like living in this modern day gilded age where there's like so many problems, but yeah, on the surface, like everyone thinks it's fine, right? It's just like I want to like get people and inspire people to actually work on the problems that matter, right? And once we could do that, right, make this sort of this movement, right, to do the things that are seemingly impossible, right, moonshots, right, seemingly impossible, these lofty goals, we can get more people working on them. Like I just think like we could sort of I mentioned in my book, right, like maximize human potential, right, sort of
hmm.
you know put us back on track in terms of scientific and technological progress, but also just human progress, right? And sort of
Hmm.
happiness, and just solving, helping people out and solving deep problems and all these things, right? I just want to be this sort of this heroic figure almost that um that inspires other people to work on moonshots. So to that point, that's sort of my life's goal, and sort of my personal moonshot, like to become that sort of hero so that I could help and support and again, there's just so many problems and I just want to fix them all, right? It's sort of just like my personality, I guess. But yeah,
One
so
book at a time.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, one project, one sort of goal, one
One.
book, whatever at a time.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Mhm.
Um, I think moonshots are really important. And
Yeah,
if you look at the American history, if you look at the world history,
yes,
the
yes.
origin of the word moonshots have been really important. And I
Yeah,
talk about it extensively in my Harvard Business Review article as well,
yeah.
is that if
Hmm.
people were to move forward in life,
Hmm.
they got to really transcend competition and build
Yeah,
their category of one.
yeah,
In order to build your category of one, you need to either create moonshots or support moonshots or
yeah.
create an ecosystem in which moonshots can happen. And I think
Hmm.
you're trying to do all of the above. And I just
Yeah.
want to extend all the support that Network Capital can offer in your journey, which I
Thank you.
think is really inspiring. 14 rejections can break the best of us, but it
Yeah,
only propelled the absolute best in you. And I think this story, now that it'll go out to hundreds and thousands of people, will inspire others that your college or getting in or getting out doesn't matter. It's your
yeah.
curiosity and your relationship with yourself that matters. So more power to you, Rahul, at the wise age of 19. You're enlightening us all. In
Thank you.
fact,
Yeah, thank
Network
you so
Capital's
much.
team, is
Mhm.
also made up of young people like you chasing moonshots, one of
Yeah.
which is on the call.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I look forward to a deeper collaboration with you in the times to come. Is there
Yep.
any final message that you want to leave our global millennial and Gen Z audience around the world tuning in to remember from this discussion?
Yeah, of course. Honestly, again, the title of my book, right? Like, let's go make some moonshots. Like, there's so many problems out there that right that need to be solved, right? Like not even like deep tech problems, right? People need healthcare, right? Like there's poverty, there's all these social problems, like so many social problems, like so many sort of basic problems. We gotta do that sort of like. And then there's also deep tech sort of problems, right? Like we gotta go to space, right? Like we gotta solve all these diseases, right? We gotta do things in energy and manufacturing and so many industries. There's so many things that we could solve. Like we need everyone. We need to mobilize everyone. We need to inspire everyone to again go out there and make some moonshots, right? We need to these sort of seemingly impossible goals, right? First we just have to get over that sort of that mental obstacle, right? That says that, oh, like moonshots are impossible, like let's not do them. Like no, like we got to overcome that, right? Once we could do this at a cultural level, like at an ecosystem level, I think just amazing things will happen, right? We'll see this golden age of everything, right? This renaissance of everything, just like in human development and also scientific and technological development. And I'm so excited. Like I genuinely want to help everyone like pursue whatever their human potential is. And again, I'm gonna say it again. I'll keep saying, like, let's go make some moonshots. That's one thing I want everyone to know.
And read Rahul's books and blogs. They're both
Yep.
wonderful. Thank you, Rahul. I appreciate this discussion very much and talk to you very soon. Cheers. Bye.